Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new edition of KerVAM, the first of our weekly editions of KerVAM for the next at least 3 weeks, I suppose, while we discuss each of the new episodes of Doctor Who. Because I know normally we talk about DVDs and Blu-rays, we talked about Season 20, we will talk about The Underwater Menace, among other things, in future podcasts, but of course, we've got to focus on the current series, because there's brand new episodes for the first time in over a year, with the Star Beast, and, well, I'm very excited to discuss it. We've all, me, Charlie, Ryan, Bill, we've all just watched it like an hour ago, so I feel like this is a very fresh, like, immediate impressions kind of podcast. So, Charlie, go on, hit me first. Give me something. Give me some thoughts. Give me a feel, a vibe of the episode.
It was pretty good, right? I'm not going to say it's the best episode ever. I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece because it's not, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's not. It was very, very good, though. And the main thing of the episode is Doctor Who is back. Russell T Davies is writing, David Tennant, Catherine Tate, all this stuff, new Tardis. It's just a fresh start, and it's really, really nice to see. Just obviously, this is the longest Doctor Who hiatus since 2005.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and it's felt it. It's been quite a while since Power of the Doctor. It's been 13 months, which is a long time without any Doctor Who. So it's very, very nice to just have a new Doctor Who episode, and for it to be good, and we're not like, this is probably going to be bad. Exactly. Also, very, very nice to finish the episode and think, wow, I'm looking forward to next week.
That's it. That's the key thing we've been missing, I feel like. Sorry, go.
Sorry. I was just going to say, like, Survivors of the Flux, let's say. Finish that. I do not think many people were actually thinking, wow, the next episode, The Vanquishers, that's going to be great. No one was thinking that.
Well, I mean, go back and listen to our podcast from that time, and that's. I don't know whether we were, but we, if you're interested, guys, go listen back, and I'm pretty sure it's fairly negative.
Yeah, I mean, even after Legend of the Sea Devils, which none of us were happy with either, none of us thought Power of the Doctor would be very good, and it turned out to be pretty good actually, and perhaps maybe better than this episode. I'm not too sure.
Controversial.
Maybe. The thing is, it's hard to explain. As a 60th episode, like a 60th anniversary special, I do think Power of the Doctor kind of delivered the fan service side of things a little bit more in terms of Doctor Who as a whole. But I think as a celebration of the Tennant era, this absolutely delivered on every front. I loved it. I mean, we can all agree. I mean, it's just great to see everyone back. We've got even random characters. We've got like Sylvia. We just have, we have David Tennant saying Alonzi on television in 2023, which is just crazy. Obviously, we've got loads of callbacks and references, and it's all great.
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting move of Russell to adapt a comic from the 80s in Doctor Who magazine as a 60th anniversary special. They could have done something so generic with like Daleks or Cybermen or the Master or something.
Yeah.
They chose to do Beep the Meep. Which
I
mean, I've read the comic before this episode a few weeks ago, so I sort of knew the twist before it really happened. It was still, I watched Doctor Who Unleashed. I'm going all over the place with this guy. Sorry.
That's okay. Go for it. Share your thoughts. Absolutely.
Very impressed the animatronics of Beep the Meep and how little of it was actually CGI. I was really impressed by it, and obviously the production quality of the whole thing was absolutely incredible. Like, it all looked amazing. Say what you want about the weird new magic sonic screwdriver. That was a bit strange. I'm not sure what all the force.
Yeah, I know that it was a bit unexplained. Just sort of magic wand sonic screwdriver more than ever. I felt like.
Yeah. It was very, very weird, but it was David Tennant with a sonic screwdriver in 2023. I really don't care.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, the writing of the episode itself is, when you take away everything like the new characters, it's really quite generic as a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, it's not trying to break new ground. Let's be real, is it?
And I mean, it was fine. I was invested in the plot, and the writing itself was good. The resolution of the whole episode, it was kind of controversial. It was a little bit it was just a bit cringe, really. I was watching it and I was like, okay, fine. And I don't know, it felt a little bit unsatisfying, but obviously the ending is clearly just setting up, the next episode, Wild Blue Yonder. Donna spilling coffee in the Tardis, and that's what's causing the whole thing. All right.
Yeah.
let's just go with it. None of us really know anything about the next episode, though.
No, it's a complete mystery, isn't it? A complete mystery.
Absolutely, we know nothing. I mean, I don't know if you guys have all seen Unleashed. We got the little just what's happening here?
Yeah. Again, a meaningless clip, like told us nothing.
I expected like a next time trailer, and I was very excited for that, and we just got what's happening here. Anyway, the episode. I mean, it was very good. I'd say 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
it was what I expected. It didn't really break new ground on a plot level, but it's David Tennant and Catherine Tate.
Yeah,
and that's what it is.
Absolutely. And well, Ryan, I feel like of the three of us, you've generally been the most negative about the previous era of the show. I feel like none of us loved it, but I feel like you've probably been the most vocal in your dissatisfaction with it. And given that it's the first time since February 2020 that this is an episode not written by Chris Chibnall, and the first time since Christmas 2017 that there's an era that's not Chris Chibnall, how did this stack up for you?
Well, I will say the Jodie Whittaker era as a whole was very mixed. There was parts of it I loved, yet parts of it I disliked. I rewatched Power of the Doctor just before this, and I think I enjoyed it a bit more than I did originally. I enjoyed it at the time, but I think I enjoyed that little bit more. And I kind of love it now. I sort of love it, which I never thought it would happen in a million years, but I sort of do. And if I was to do like an out of 10, it would be an 8. This would also be an 8 out of 10 as well. I think they're both the same marks out of 10. I can understand that it, as a 60th, the Star Beast isn't that much of a celebration other than of the Tennant and Canon Tate era. But then again, who knows what they got planned for Wild Blue Yonder, because that is the most mysterious. All I've just seen is that post of, look, like this weird blue like spaceship with this little robot with them. I don't have no idea what's going on with that. And who knows if all the celebration stuff is in that one.
Hidden in it,
yeah. It was definitely a solid story overall. And I'd say as an adaptation of that original 1980 comic, I think they did a fairly good job of adapting it. And I actually kind of went a bit like a fist in the air, like cheer, when they credited the two creators of that comic strip in the opening titles. That was a bit like a bit of a fanboy moment in me to that. And what was really charming was in the Unleashed documentary that the creators came to set and actually met David Tennant and all. And I think they did like a premiere video as well. Dave Gibbons was invited to the premiere as well. And just seeing his excitement at seeing these creations come to life, it really reminded me of when he went to see onto the set of the Watchmen movie, when he saw Watchmen being adapted and seeing that come to life. It just brought that back. And I definitely think, so yeah, it was a really good, it's a solid story. As for the resolution, I don't mind the explanation. My only criticism of the resolution is that it felt rushed. It reminded me a little bit of Journey's End, how the whole Donna, with all the knowledge of the Doctor, she's able to hack into all Dalek technology ever and just shut it down. I mean, it kind of, I don't mind the explanation. It just feels rushed. That's the problem, I think. Which it's tend to be a bit of a problem sometimes when they do the resolutions. The ideas aren't bad. It's just that for some reason it gets done in a rushed manner, but it didn't detract it from the whole experience. It's still at everything as a whole, it's definitely a good, solid 8 out of 10 experience. And one thing that did make me really scream in delight as a fanboy was seeing the new Tardis for a myriad of reasons, which I'm sure we'll get to later on. But
absolutely,
seeing the new TARDIS, it actually made me scream, yes, thank God, because it fulfilled a few things that I've wanted to see in the TARDIS since the Capaldi era, and they finally did it. But we'll get to that later on, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like your talk of a rushed sort of ending to the story, I feel like I've been transported back 15 years. I feel like wasn't the most common criticisms of RTD back in the day was the Deus Machina endings to lots of stories where he just have to make the Doctor wave a magic wand and make the story end. Think Series 3 finale, Series 4 finale, end of time, all of it. I feel like that used to be a common problem for Russell, and it's like, yes, he's done a lot in 13 years, but also that maybe hasn't gone away. But I think, it's always a problem in Doctor Who, isn't it? I feel like writers know how to write great stories and get themselves into that problem. But then often they don't know how to or there's not an obvious good and like satisfying way to kind of pull yourself out of it, especially when you've got like 3 minutes of runtime to try and do it in or something like.
Yeah.
I think it just always goes that way, doesn't it? But Bill, what was your thoughts? Yeah, of course, it's great and exciting to have Doctor Who back on the screen. So after over a year, did you feel like it was worth the wait, the Star Beast?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it was, as Charlie said, it wasn't breaking any new ground or anything, and I didn't really feel like surprised necessarily by what the episode did. But I mean it in like a good way because, I feel like it adapted the original comic so well, and in terms of like it's still very much its own episode, but the general gist of the original comic is still there. And I feel like that is the best way to approach the adaptation of it, is to, they can be their own separate things, but you still ultimately same story and being faithful enough. And as Ryan said, having the original creators credited and everything and on set was really lovely to see. To be honest, I've always loved the original comic, and ever since I read it about 12 years ago, I've wanted Beep the Meep to come into the TV show. So to see him finally in it is just amazing. And it was just a lot of fun, and it was just great to, as you say, have Doctor Who back. Nothing against the Chris Chibnall era when I say that. It's great to have a new episode ultimately after such a long wait, and it feels, we're back. The show is back, and we're having fun again, I suppose is the best way to say it.
Absolutely.
We'll probably talk about the TARDIS and titles in a minute, won't we? But
it feels to me a bit like a Partners in Crime type episode where it's really good, it's really fun, but like it's not groundbreaking. I think is probably the only, and that doesn't need to be a negative. I don't think like the first episode coming back, I don't think you want to be the sort of crazy, experimental, complicated, weird episode of Doctor Who. You want something that kind of brings back those characters you remember from many years ago in a really cool, fun and exciting adventure, but also tackling what happened with them and then setting it up for something that's probably going to be a bit more wacky next week, I feel like. But Charlie, what did you think about because obviously one of the key things with this story is the Doctor and Donna and them returning, their relationship, obviously how Donna, does or doesn't remember the past, how that's all resolved. What was your feelings on how they kind of tackled this, especially the resolution at the end with obviously it being the metacrisis sort of being shared between Donna and Rose and then them kind of just getting rid of it? How do we feel about that?
It as a resolution and the whole explanation of Donna like dying, then just sort of waking up and it being revealed that Rose was also sharing the metacrisis. It's a bit of a cop-out, really. I love Russell, but I'm not going to lie, that it was not amazing writing, but I feel it can sort of be excused given we get another 2 episodes with David Tennant and Catherine Tate.
Yes.
It's kind of Russell's way of saying, just don't think about it too hard. You've got the 10th Doctor and Donna back. Just be happy with it. Just go away.
Yeah,
that's
literally
Russell's way of saying that.
I feel like because the only explainer for at the end when Rose and Donna kind of make the metacrisis stuff disappear, they kind of just say we're able to let it go. There wasn't any more explanation I missed there, was there? They're just able to let it go, so they did. That was it.
It wasn't amazing writing. I mean, the whole sort of thing before when Donna was like slowly remembering who the Doctor was, and there's that one scene where she's like the last one to go and she shuts the door behind them and says, I've got to go find the Doctor. That moment was actually really good. And I was like, wow. Okay, so she's remembering now.
Yes,
But
yeah,
then
it
I
was such a cool
realised,
moment. Yeah,
oh, she's gonna die. I mean, I thought at first, oh, is she gonna die? And that's all we've seen of her. But there's other scenes of her in the trailers. So
I know. I kind of thought, are they going to do that classic thing of building up a big character return, sort of not necessarily in Doctor Who, but like a genre thing of bringing someone back and then killing them off straight away in the first episode as a bit of a shock. I kind of, for a moment, I was like, wait, are they going to do that? Is this all like fake promotional stuff? What? But no, obviously it wasn't.
Another thing, just out of the blue, Wilf.
Yes.
Are we going to see him?
Well, so have you guys watched the YouTube behind the scenes thing, which is different to Doctor Who Unleashed? They posted a 15-minute behind the scenes thingy, which features Wilf at the read through for the Star Beast, which is quite confusing because obviously he's now not in this episode. So I kind of wonder what. Oh, sorry, go for it.
I was just going to say they obviously mentioned that he wasn't with them anymore, and I thought, oh, he didn't complete the shooting, so they said he died off screen, which makes sense. But then they said he didn't. Yeah. So I'm thinking, I mean, and then at the end, I thought, okay, they're going to go to Wilf. They're going to say, Wilf is going to see them. He's going to be all happy. And then it'll end and they'll do like in memory of Bernard Cribbins.
Yeah.
And whatever to 2022.
But they didn't.
But they didn't. And they just, Donna spilled some coffee and then it was next time on Doctor Who. Well, it wasn't. But I was
exactly
another thing. I was really expecting a next time trailer. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting the whole credits. I was like, come on, and then there was nothing. And then there was a little TV trailer after Unleashed, wasn't there? But didn't give anything away.
It was a 15-second scene, and the Doctor. It was this weird metal thing with some stuff on. He sniffs it and then he licks it, and then Donna's like, "What are you doing?" And then it ends like, "What? What am I watching?" It's so weird.
It was all quite bizarre. But it was very weird to not see Wilf, because obviously we've all seen the footage of, like, I think it's David Tennant pushing Wilf around in a wheelchair in Camden from that filming, obviously at that location. So I was like expecting to somehow see that bit in some way, but obviously we didn't. So I'm like, was that a bit that was meant to be in this episode that was cut? But then they didn't feel like they'd obviously written him out, because all that dialogue was in that scene from when they filmed it May last year. Like they don't think they could have gone back and redone all that. So I'm guessing he's going to turn up in the last episode for a brief cameo. It would be my
like at the end of the giggle or something would make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then the little in memorial of Bernard Cribbins thing.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense and it'd be quite nice. I really hope that he does appear. I was really expecting him to this episode. I was very surprised he didn't.
Absolutely.
Given we've got like Donna's whole family, I thought Wilf would be like in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
But another random thing we've got to get through so much stuff.
Just do it.
The end saying like, "Wait till the boss hears about this." I think we can all agree that's the toy maker. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. Of course it is.
Oh yeah.
He'll come back in the last episode, and in between we've got, I think, if any like big like Matt Smith type reveals do happen, it will be in the next episode.
Yes.
It's going to be more of a season finale type thing.
Yeah.
As this was a Partners in Crime type thing.
Yes.
Whatever's happening now is more of a Day of the Doctor-esque episode. Like, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah, or almost like something. It could be something like experimental, like Listen or something like that. I feel like it's kind of your like classic, like experimental mid-series episode where clearly they are hiding something, and it has to be something that we would recognize as fans. So otherwise, why would you hide it? So it's got to be a returning something, whether it's returning villains, whether it's returning doctors, returning characters, whatever. But there's stuff to be excited about.
As a 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, it would really surprise me if there is not a single Dalek in the whole trilogy.
Wow, that's my thought, yeah.
I feel like they've got to have just one somewhere. Yeah. It's the Daleks. They've got to appear somewhere. It's like...
Exactly.
It's going to be... I have a feeling there's a part of me that's wondering, because the cast listings, it's so far, it's just David and Catherine.
Yeah.
It does... At the back of my mind, I was just thinking, is Russell trying to do his own Heaven Sent here? Is he trying to do it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, of all the episodes, that is the one that's got me the most curious, because obviously we don't know anything about it. There's very little of it. And I'm just curious because I know David Tennant did a panel at a Comic-Con years, like I think it was last year, where someone asked him a question about because anything turned up, and David Tennant said, "What you've heard about in the news and set photos, that is only a fraction of what we've got, what we've done in studio." So it does lead me to wonder, what is going to be in that second episode. I mean, Russ has been hyping it up like mad, and it's honestly, not an episode has got me this more baffled and bemused than Wild Blue Yonder. Because with the giggle, I sort of know what to expect because it's the toy maker, it's a big unit's going to be involved with Kate Lethbridge Stewart, and so obviously we know that's coming, and also another thing that's got me even more perplexed is how Shooty Gatwa's Doc 15 going to be involved because they keep saying his first appearance is going to be at Christmas. I don't think it's going to be.
It's 100% going to be in the giggle. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to play a major part, and I will not be surprised if he shows up in Wild Blue Yonder. I will not be surprised.
I agree. Yeah, I'm certainly very, very intrigued for that. But bringing it back just to the Stobbies for a little bit longer, Bill, what did you think of the new TARDIS? Of course, I felt like it was the highlight at the end of the episode. I was kind of knew we were probably going to get it, and I was really like, come on, please, I want to see the new TARDIS. So what did you think?
Oh, it's amazing. It just it's, to be honest with you, I don't know how you all felt about Jodie's TARDIS, but for me, it just wasn't. It didn't quite feel like how TARDIS console room should feel like. It didn't feel like you go back and you look at Matt Smith's and Peter Capaldi's TARDISes. They felt like big, expansive spaces, and they felt like might have been Capaldi himself who said that it felt like the flight deck of a spaceship. This new one feels harkening back to that essentially, and it feels like huge. Just you can imagine it being a spaceship. I mean, it's just there's so much going on in it, and I think the console itself is a bit chunkier than I think some of the previous ones have been, but I don't have a problem with that. And the coffee machine I don't have an issue with. We've had a custard cream dispenser before, so
exactly, absolutely.
I loved it. I thought it was really it just shows what they can do with that kind of, I wouldn't say like a bigger budget, but just a bit of extra money from Disney or whoever, just with that bit extra stuff, they've been able to pull off a really cracking, just expansive set. And, I mean, I can't imagine that they will have built something that's going to been probably quite expensive and then only use it for David Tennant. So I imagine Shooty will probably inherit it as well.
Exactly. I can't wait to see Shooty running around that TARDIS as well. It's going to be so exciting.
And then the titles I felt were pretty good as well.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
The only thing I will say, and this is going to be a proper nitpick, I think, is the logo. I felt seemed a bit. It felt a bit flat in terms of how it kind of came at you.
I do know what you mean. I did just get a slightly weird feeling as that logo appeared, where I was just like a little bit. This feels wrong, not quite right.
Because it was like in the Unleashed episode, I think when they were having each person's name, they had like the logo at the side. It was like spinning, and I feel like that would have been a better like animation because it just works a bit more. It feels less flat. But I mean, it says quite a lot about this episode if that's the only real bugbear I have with it.
It really feels like, although this maybe isn't the greatest episode of Doctor Who we've ever watched, it also doesn't feel like there's many things that are really wrong with it. Like, it was just a really fun romp for sort of 50 minutes and then the bit on the end in the TARDIS and stuff. Like, it was obviously great to see Unit and to see Unit's new scientific advisor as well. Ryan, what did you enjoy the new appearance of Unit and that whole new sort of structure going on there?
Yeah, definitely was interesting. I would not be surprised if I forgot, is her name Shirley? Is it?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if they are doing a Unit spin-off, she's going to be a major character along with presumably Kate and Osgood. Yes. I would not be surprised. And I have a feeling that how they introduced it, very clear. It's like we're setting up a major character here for the future. 100%. I definitely got that vibe from her, and and from what I've seen, she seems like a really cool addition. I can't wait to see more of her. If she's coming back in Shooty Gatwa's era and presumably the Unit spin-off. So it's definitely got me intrigued about Unit in the future, and of course, well, and seeing the new TARDIS, and should I say about the TARDIS? And
go for it. Yeah, go for it.
One thing that I was cheering about was the fact that they brought back the multiple levels of the TARDIS, because
yes,
the thing is with Jodie Whittaker's TARDIS, the two issues was the way it was structured. It made it very difficult to do camera angles, creative camera angles, because of how it was structured. But my other criticism was, after going from the visually creative multi-level TARDISes from the Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, we just go back to just one single flat, barren room. It just, that was my major criticism with Jodie's TARDIS, was the fact that it felt like a downgrade. It's kind of like they took a massive step backwards from Matt and Peter's TARDISes. So to see them bringing back the multiple levels again in such a big, expanded, creative way again, it had been jump for joy. Actually, it was like, yes, thank God they brought back the multiple levels. It's something I wanted, because the TARDIS is big on the inside. It should be bigger on the inside. It should be weird and creative, and which is why I loved that they introduced the multiple levels in Matt Smith's era. And in a way, it feels like a perfect hybrid of Matt and Peter's TARDIS as well as the classic 60s TARDIS as well. It felt like they combined the best bits of all three and put them together. And honestly, this might be a bit early to say yet, because it's only just been a few minutes screen time. It could rival Peter Capaldi's TARDIS as my favourite TARDIS to date.
That's a big call. It's a big call. It's not there yet for me. Could be, but not yet.
My only slight criticism that could rival it is if they add a bit more personal touches to it. Because with Peter's TARDIS, there was the blackboard and the books and the workbenches and stuff. And if they do add some of those little touches to it for Ncuti's era, that could end up finally confirming for me that it is just as good as Peter's TARDIS. If they add those little touches, then the console looks brilliant. It definitely gave me Capaldi TARDIS vibes, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, I mean, I think the thing is, it's kind of like it's brand new right now, like the Doctor's just got it. So it's kind of, it looks very clean and it looks very neat and tidy, and there's not any extra frills to it or anything, as you say, almost adding any character to it. But you feel like over time, it should naturally sort of start gaining just stuff around in there on the corridors, sitting around inside the TARDIS, just to give it that extra bit, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's bright as well and not so darkly lit like Jodie's TARDIS, because it felt so dark. It's like, I can't hardly see a thing in there. So I'm happy they made it more bright lights in there again, which was definitely welcome.
Yeah, and I feel like there's lots of intriguing doors and mysterious doors to other parts of the TARDIS you could see at the end of some of those sort of long walkways. I'm like, come on, please, can we have more stories with like scenes in other parts of the TARDIS? It's meant to be this massive, bigger on the inside machine. Let's actually see some of it sometimes, like they did in the 80s. Why do we have to limit ourselves? Like, now we've got a fantastically massive main console room, but let's just wander through in somewhere else at the start of an episode, even just for a little ending scene or starting scene. Just give us that impression that it's massive, that I just don't think was there during Jodie's era.
And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they do something with that in Ncuti's era. I'm hoping they do, because I mean, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS was a neat idea, but it just failed in execution. I hope they do that concept again, but done better. I hope they do that with Ncuti's era.
Yeah, definitely. I would really, really like to see it. And yeah, I feel like it was a real highlight seeing that new TARDIS right at the end of the story. And so, Charlie, seeing David Tennant back as the Doctor, did it feel like, and I guess Catherine Tate-Donna, did it feel, just seeing them again, did it just bring back good vibes? Did you feel like they slipped back into their characters, no problem? Was it like we just picked up from a series 4 episode?
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, I was sort of worried, because I was like, David Tennant is a great actor, but he hasn't played the Doctor for 15 years.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried necessarily, but I was sort of thinking, oh, he hasn't played the Doctor for 15 years. Is he going to be the same? And he is. It's just, they both just slip back into their characters so easily, and it's kind of jarring almost how just we've got, I mean, he's not the 10th Doctor, but he's very much the same character.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's another thing. Russell has said the 14th Doctor is very different to the 10th Doctor. He said that a couple of times.
Yeah, but and I feel like David Tennant kind of played it down and was like, he's kind of fundamentally the same. I feel like David was like talking slightly more posh at some points, if that's the best way to describe it. I don't know. His accent just sounded slightly different to normal in a couple of scenes for no apparent reason.
It might just be because he's not used to doing an English accent as much.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's true. Yeah.
Obviously, looking at Unleashed, it's also just interesting hearing just how Scottish he is.
Yes.
And how very different he sounds in the episode. But I mean, Russell has said he's very different, and I'm watching this and I'm like, no, he isn't. This is the 10th Doctor.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Russell should really be saying this character is very different when he kind of isn't. I mean, we've only got one episode so far. We have no idea what's happening next. But I mean, the whole scene, we've had a couple of scenes in the trailer that I think most of us assumed were from the same sequence.
Mm-hmm.
One of them where he's saying, like, why does it have to be this?
Yes.
That was in this episode.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Screaming and like punching a wall and stuff. And that's probably the next episode.
Yes.
But I always thought they were from the same sequence because it looked very similar. But
yeah, I thought that too. Yeah, no, I was surprised to see that bit in there. I was like, oh, that's a bit that I thought was in the next episode that's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very intrigued. But
yeah,
I mean, David Tennant, great performance. Catherine Tate, also just brilliant. Overall, the acting in this was just fantastic, really.
Yeah, and it just didn't feel like there was any clunky lines or clunky performances or like I just feel like in the Chibnall era there was always at least one really, really dodgy line of dialogue somewhere that just felt really bad and out of place. But I didn't feel like we got that at all in this episode.
It's very smoothly written, really.
Yeah, and fully just a quick thing. It was a bit surreal to see David and Catherine, partly because of the fact that not just because it's been 15 years, but also because of the fact that a few years ago I met them at a convention and they were super awesome and just having the chance to meet them and briefly chatting to them as well and me telling David that I also loved Good Omens as well and he was really chuffed by that and just seeing them again on screen it was kind of a bit of a special moment for me and I think maybe it's because of the fact that I also met them in real life and also the fact that I grew up with them it definitely resonated something with me. Yes, it was a bit missed opportunity that David was kind of basically playing it the same as the 10th Doctor. I wished he used his Scottish accent because I feel like that
would be an obvious thing,
But regardless, it just made me think because having grew up with him, it's like yes, Tom and Peter Capaldi are my doctors, but yet having grew up with Tennant, he's sort of my doctor too. This sort of story sort of made me realize that, and so maybe that sort of really helped White kind of shone a little bit because of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and well, we've got to make the most of it. We've only got 2 more of them, so we've got to make the most of David Tennant and Catherine Tate while we can. And so, Bill, we come to the Wild Blue Yonder, easy for me to say, next week. Just quickly, what are your predictions? What are these mysterious redacted characters that are going to appear, and all of this? What's going on? What's your prediction?
I think if you'd have asked me this time last year, I would have said past Doctors because it's the anniversary special. You'd assume that's the tradition. But Russell's repeatedly said there's not going to be any past Doctors. This is not a multi-Doctor thing.
It's true.
Maybe with the sole exception of maybe Shooty. It is really strange because I, like all of you, I do not know what to expect with that at all. It's very strange because Russell could be completely lying and maybe there is Matt Smith, maybe Peter Capaldi there, but then again, he could be telling the truth and I don't know. I mean, we've not seen Bonnie Lamford yet, so who knows? Maybe she'll turn up.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. She could turn up.
Or whenever. It's just, I don't know because it's such a weird episode to think about, isn't it? Because as you all saying, we know we've watched the Star Beast now. We know bits and pieces about the Giggle enough to get kind of the general gist of it, but Wild Blue Yonder, we've not got a clue about. We've got no idea really what the setting exactly is. We don't know how that strange little robot ties into it. We don't know what is happening in that preview clip at all. It's just we don't know what's happening with the TARDIS. I mean, I'm hoping that there's more to it than just Donna spilled some coffee, and that's what makes it just go wrong the entire episode. It's just I cannot. I mean, it's good though, because it'd be so easy for them to just continue what anniversary specials have done before and just stick to that formula. So I think it's good in some ways that Russell's decided, no, actually, we're going to do something a bit more, as you say, experimental ultimately. Even if it would be nice to see some past Doctors, because I mean, it would be lovely to see Matt Smith and stuff come back. But I do not know at all. You just can't speculate about it. There's such little stuff that we know about it.
Yeah, exactly. It feels completely an unknown. Whereas I feel like most of the scenes of the Star Beast, I had some visual image of what I was expecting to see, just from photos, from set reports, from all of that. Whereas I feel like I've got nothing to work on with Wild Blue Yonder. I've got no visual representation of what it's going to look like and what it's going to be and where it's going to be set or anything. So I just think that's tremendously exciting. And we've only got 7 days left to wait. So really quickly, the last thing I want to do, go around the room and give me your marks out of 10 for the Star Beast. Charlie, you first.
8, I'd say.
8 out of 10, very solid. Ryan?
Yep. Same, 8 out of 10.
Bill?
9 out of 10.
I'm gonna cheat and go 8.5. I feel like we've averaged somewhere about an 8.5 out of 10. So we'll have to see how that stacks up over the next couple of weeks. My gut feeling is that by the end of these 3, this is going to be my least favourite of the 3. But, who knows? Maybe Wild Blue Yonder will be terrible and then everything will change. But I have faith in Russell where we didn't in Chris. So I'm really hopeful for what's going to come next week. But that is just about all we've got time for on this edition of KerVAM. We're keeping them nice, short and sweet for you guys, so it's nice and quick and easy to enjoy our podcast. We're going to be back in 7 days' time also to talk about Wild Blue Yonder, where I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot to discuss, and I don't know what any of those things are right now. So it's really, really exciting. But guys, remember to follow us on Twitter at KerVAMPod. You can check out the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube at my YouTube channel, EMS Productions. So remember to like and subscribe on there as well. But from me, from Ryan, from Bill, from Charlie, for now, from the Star Beast, it is goodbye.